Hello and welcome back to Song Surveys on Sofas with Superheroes, the sub-series. So this is actually a really cool song. I'm excited to share it with you guys. You guys are actually the ones who chose it. I put a survey out on my new Twitter account, which is in the link below, in the information below. And yeah, so you guys picked this song over an early November song. Sorry, early November. Anyway, I'm really also excited about this artist because I want to say it was like a year and a half ago, he announced on Twitter that he was no longer going to be making music under the name Jaymes Young, and I was really devastated because Jaymes Young was kind of a song that a student and I shared together, and I just was like so thrilled that I had this connection with one of my kids and was so bummed to hear that he wasn't making music anymore. Especially because I thought, oh my gosh, if he makes new music, and he had actually announced previously that he was going to be putting out a new CD, so I was really excited. I was like, couldn't wait to have that as a topic starter with my student, and then all of a sudden he was like, nope, I'm done. And I was like, wait a minute, but you said you had new music. So I am thrilled that Jaymes Young is back in the music world. Just so good, and talk about like what an amazing comeback. This song is so fantastic, and I am so excited to share it with you guys. So the song title is Paradox by Jaymes Young, and it opens with this music that gets carried through pretty much the first, like almost half of the song, maybe a third of the song or so. It's a little bit more than a third of the song, for the most part. I say that, but there are some differences, and we'll talk about that as it goes on. But what is fantastic, I mean fantastic, from the beginning to the end from the song, is the way that he sings the lyrics. The way he holds words, the way he makes higher pitches versus lower pitches, the way it's just so fantastically done. The way that it's sang, it makes this simple music that pretty much carries throughout the whole song. Fantastic. I mean, he is so good at complementing the music that he made with the lyrics and the way he sings them. So fantastic. So if nothing else, enjoy that part of the song. Anyway, so the very first line, so there's like an intro, and then it goes to the first verse. So in the intro, the first line is, "This life is a paradox," and so you pretty much just get that title right there, and it does kind of set up a little bit of a paradox, I guess, because the next line is, "You're the only one who saw the real me," and then instead of saying "this life is a paradox," it says "this love is a paradox," and then the next line is, "You're the only thing that almost killed me." So I do kind of like that difference of you saw the real me, but then you're also the thing that almost killed me. Also, I feel like this might be an Alanis Morissette ironic situation where the things aren't really ironic, so I'm not really sure if some of these things count as paradoxes, but we're going to call them paradoxes for the song because that's what the song title is, and that was clearly the intention of what they were supposed to be. So, really like that first part. Think it's a really good introduction to the song, and that part will come back later, so again, just a nice introduction overall. And so once you get into the first verse, the music stays mostly the same, but like I said before, it really is the way he sings these lines that just make it so good. So even in like the second verse, he kind of stutter steps the word, but then in the next line, instead of stutter stepping it, so it's the second line, he stutter steps the word, like part word repetition almost, and then in the fourth line, he just holds it. And so even just that difference, right? It's such a subtle thing, but it's just so good. And the other thing I love about the fourth line is that he says "yeah" at the end. And so it really makes you appreciate the fact that drowning, which is the word right before the "yeah," was not held any longer, or was not stuttered like that 2 lines before it could have been, to make it longer and add an extra syllable. I love the choices that were made in terms of how these words were sang. So the first verse, there are 2 paradoxes. The first one talks about desert needing a flood, but the next one is the one that I absolutely love. I love it. I'll hold my ground even when I'm drowning. So just like the multiple meanings of that, right? Holding your ground means to, stand up for yourself and not falter, but then also ground like the floor. And then obviously drowning, so you can't hold on to ground if you're in water. And then just the other like meaning of what that means when someone says, oh, I'm drowning, right? You're overwhelmed. You can't like handle any more of it, right? You're not gonna be able to complete a task or finish whatever you needed to finish or feel the way you need to feel because it's just so overwhelming and you're basically struggling to get out what you need to get out. So I love that. I think it's like brilliant and genius. I just also love the image of trying to like put your feet on the ground as you are, you know, head covered in water. Like, I just think that's such an interesting paradox, I guess. So yeah, I really love that. I think the image is interesting, and I think that double meaning is really interesting, and I really love that. So that is like one of my favorite lyrics in this whole song. Definitely love that paradox. Think it's fantastic. Love it. So then you get to the pre-chorus, and it has similar music, but this time you get this like low bassy instrument that comes in. So that's definitely a change. But again, the bones of the instrument part doesn't really change. It's just you get this additional like lower bassy sounding instrument. And what I really love is, so at the beginning, the first two lines are sang fairly quickly, especially the first half of those lines really quickly. And that's going to come in a second. Because my favorite line is towards the end. And so it's nothing drops me from so high. And I love the way that the word nothing is held, especially because you get these quicker words in those first two parts of it, but then you really get this extended nothing, and it's just so great. And I love the contrast. And again, this makes me think that he really took his time thinking about what words he was gonna sing and what way they were gonna be sung. Like, it's just so fantastic. I really, really, really like the way that, again, you get this fairly simple instrumental structure with this very complex and just complementing vocal structure. It's just fantastic. But I also really like the idea that, you know, nothing drops me from as high, right? So I think this happens a lot in relationships, is you know the good and you like the good, so you wait around for the good, and you're like, okay, well, the good is so great, and I get this like such a great feeling that when I get dropped from that feeling, like I'm willing to wait to be that high again. And so yeah, that's what happens a lot of times, and you know, things like that don't always necessarily work out. And so I just think that was an interesting line, and I like that. I feel like it's really relatable to a lot of people and their relationships as well. So then for the chorus, that bassy sound totally drops out, and so that's for like the first half of the chorus. And then so the first half of the chorus, it brings back the second and fourth line from the intro, but with different first and third lines. So I really love the third and fourth lines. I think it is so fantastic, and I think that it adds, again, just this, like, you get this new element added to that, because you've had these lines before, right? You've had that second and fourth line, but the first and third line are different, and the way that the third and fourth now connect to each other, I think, is fantastic. So the lines are, out of all the stupid things I've done, you're the only thing that almost killed me. So first of all, I like that he used things and thing. Makes me really think those lines are intentionally connected. He could have said the only one, the only part, or something like that, but he's stuck with things or thing. And yeah, I just think it's super interesting that he is now kind of considering this relationship with this person to be something that was like stupid. But I also think it's kind of like heartbreaking that it's the only, like, of all the dumb things this like kid has done, right? I think of like a boy being a boy, right? You're just like, oh, it's just boys being boys, jumping off things and running into things and, you know, being daring and sliding down mudslides into a river. I don't know, like all these things. This relationship is the one that was like the most dangerous. And so again, like, that's just kind of puts you into this mindset of like, well, what are the dangers? Like, you know, you think like physically dangerous as like a stupid thing is like, I don't know, maybe, but then, I mean, listen, you can do stupid things that are not physical, right? You can say stupid things to people, you can act stupidly, like, so I get that. And then like how that person reacts could maybe be dangerous, I guess. I don't know, but in my head, when I hear stupid things, I think of like physically stupid things, not so much emotionally and like mentally stupid. Well, mentally stupid things. I hope you understand what I'm saying and I'm not just confusing you. But so I just thought it was interesting that this relationship, which in my head is an emotional / mental thing, is the most dangerous. Whereas, yeah, I don't know, just really interesting. I really like that. I think it definitely adds, and I especially like that. Again, it's different from that first part because I love when things are changed and you all know that. So yeah. So the second half of the chorus is just like so fantastic. I love the music change. I think it was so well done and such a smart choice. And again, it's all about the way things are saying in the song. So, yeah, so the first and third line are saying, and it's this whole part, the second part is a repetition of the intro with no changes. So those first and third lines come back and are exactly the same. It's the life is a paradox, love is a paradox. So the only thing that's different though is that it's this like higher pitched singing of the second and fourth line, and it makes it sound so different and unique. It's just like so well done. So it definitely doesn't feel like a repetition at all. It feels so different, and it's just, you get this kind of contrast, right? Which again, paradox, right? It's like opposites. But so I really do like that. I thought it was a really good choice. I really like how it's saying. So then you get like this one like lower bassy note again, and then you shift and it goes into the second verse. And so really, really well done with the words that are held and the pauses that are there in that second verse. Really love it. Fantastic singing choices. Thought they were really great. So the bass sound, that lower sound, comes back in for the next pre-chorus, and this second pre-chorus is totally different from the first one. The only thing that's the same is that first line starts with "it's the nature of," but really the lines that I love are the second and third lines. Love them so much. So this is like maybe my favorite, if not my second favorite paradox in the song. It's the ones who fight. It's the ones you fight for that will conquer your world. Love it. I think it's fantastic. Just that image of ultimately having the thing that you're fighting for take you out is just fantastic. Such great lyrics. Really, really, really love them. Fantastic. And again, you just get this like image of fighting for and just being conquered by that thing. And the word conquer is a perfect choice. Really well done. Love it. So then the chorus gets repeated, and there's no change from the first one, except that the second half gets repeated again. So the second half of the chorus is played through and then gets repeated a second time. So then this like genius, like best idea ever comes into the song. So right after the second chorus, right before the third chorus starts, you hear in this like way distant background the lines, "my life is a paradox," and a couple seconds later you hear "my love is a paradox" in this background, and then you hear "life is a paradox" again, and it kind of goes throughout the whole third verse and that third pre-chorus. It is so smart and just so well done and so subtle, and you totally miss it if you're not paying attention. And I love it. I think it is such a great choice, such a great choice, because again, like I said, this music is fairly consistent and simple, and even though he does sing the verses differently, having that little tiny thing in the background is so fantastic and just makes the end of the song so great. And I really love that, and I think it was a fantastic choice. So good. Definitely listen for it when you get to that point of the song, because it really is just, it adds such a perfect touch to the song. So anyway, I really like the third verse. It's full of paradoxes. I think the third verse and the third pre-chorus is probably my favorite overall part of this song. In that verse, they talk about bracing for the worst, even though you're hoping for the best. It talks about making sense of like madness. So like that whole like logic versus and like being mad or crazy. But my favorite is, "It's the problem with keeping me close. The people you hold on to are the ones who let go." First of all, the way he holds keeping and then close So great. Love that it's in the same line and you're holding those two words. So great. And then after that, in that last line, you get this huge pause between the ones who let go. So I really like that pause. I think this part is sang fantastically. I really just love it. It's so, so great. But I also really like the idea that, you know, you are just the paradox in and of itself, right? The holding on and letting go. I like that contrast. But what I really love about this part in particular, and in my head, when I hear the line, "You're the only thing that almost killed me," I kind of put the blame on that other person. And now all of a sudden you get this line, "It's the problem with keeping me close." He, like, in my head, totally switched the blame. Now it's like his fault, but also not only is it his fault, but almost like that it was fated to be, right? That's the problem. That's the problem with keeping me close. Like, we should have known that going in. And so I feel like in this one pre-chorus, my mind gets blown and the whole song just like totally shifts into this new element like that you just get this whole new feel for what's going on in this song. It's actually pretty crazy that one line totally changed almost my entire opinion about this song. I mean, listen, I love the beginning of the song, and I do genuinely think that this other person does have some blame in it. But really, I mean, when I heard the line, "You're the only one thing that almost killed me," it really made me think that it was like all this person's fault. But then I really do find it very interesting that you get this, "That's the problem with keeping me close." And so I really liked that it was included, and I really, really liked that it totally changed my perspective on this song. I think it was a really interesting thing, and definitely would have thought the song was more about one thing than potentially about this like new whole other element of the fact that this person is maybe to blame, but also the singer is. So I really like that. I think that was really a good choice, and I like that line. So then there's a transition, and we get a repetition of the second half of the chorus. And then there's like a little bit more music. And then you get this like deep, creepy voice that says the second and fourth line of the chorus. And then it ends. And I really like that like deeper voice, especially because most times when those lines are sang, you get like this high pitch feel, right? And so you've kind of been teetering the whole song between high pitch and normal pitch, high pitch and normal pitch. And then right at the end, you get the last two lines in this like creepy, garbled, like deep voice. And so I like that. I think that was really, again, and it's subtle because you almost can't hear what the words say, but you can because they've been repeated enough throughout the song that if you're thinking about what would those words be, you can figure it out. So yeah, I really like that. I thought that was a really good choice, especially again, because you, for the most part, you get these higher pitches and then you get this like right at the end, this low garbled sound. So I really like that. And I also like that it was the second and fourth line and not the first and third line. So I really kind of, you know, you are not as focused on this like paradox word as much as the paradox itself. So I really like that. I thought that was a good choice. Anyway, let me know what you think. I am so excited. I cannot wait to hear more music, more new music from Jaymes Young. Like, subscribe, comment. Have you heard this song? Is this the first time you're hearing about this song? Have you listened to Jaymes Young forever and are just as excited as I am? Please let me know, and I will see you guys next week with an old school song. Bye.